Well, hello everybody. I'm going to do another spontaneous video without any plan or script. And I'm just going to open my mouth and see what comes out. Yesterday and this morning, I got involved on a thread on a Facebook group where um, people, sensitive people, empaths, introverts, those types of people, were saying that they felt like they needed to withdraw from the world and go into hermit mode because of everything that's been going on. They feel exhausted and like they need to withdraw and recharge their batteries, which is a natural thing for introverts because introverts get recharged by withdrawing and not being around people. But as I said in my first video, my inclination now is quite different. I've been withdrawn and a hermit for the most part all my life, and now I feel like it's time for me to come forth and show myself to the world and offer what I have to offer. So I put a comment on there on the group saying, on the contrary, it's time for us to come forth and offer our gifts to the world or something to that effect. And I got a lot of responses. It's a group that has a lot of members, and I got a lot of responses. And I didn't count them and count up the percentages, but it might have been something like half and half of people who supported what I said and said, yeah, it's we can't hang back. It's time to come forth and offer what we have to offer. But a lot of people strongly disagreed, and they said, no, I need to withdraw. And some people even said, the world hasn't treated us very well. We don't owe it anything. And of course, I've been a Mahayana Buddhist for like 33 years now, and I've took this Bodhisattva vow, which obliges me to um, seek enlightenment for the sake of helping all sentient beings. And so, to me, it's not like a balance sheet because the world has certainly treated me very, very badly. And the impulse that I have to help is not coming from this limited self which was hurt and traumatized and treated badly. It's coming from a much deeper place than that, because if I was operating on a balance sheet, then I'd just withdraw and have very little to do with anybody. But that's not what I'm going to do, and that's not what I want to do. And someone commented on my last video that perhaps the way I'm to help people is to encourage those who um, have been on a spiritual path of awareness and are sensitive and um, have the wherewithal to help create a new and better world, to encourage them to come forth and offer their gifts and do what they can. And um, so that's it. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if the good people withdraw and remain silent, then what's to stop the world from going to hell, or what's to um, who's going to create the new world when when this one is completely collapsed. There's a passage from a poem that I often think of and sometimes quote from a poem called The Second Coming by William Butler Yeats. And there are these two lines: the best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of a passionate intensity. And I'm not saying that these people who responded to me are lacking conviction, because a lot of them, a lot of them are saying, I'm just exhausted. I've got to withdraw and recharge. But there's and I've, as I said, I've felt the same way and have acted the same way most of my life, but something is different now, and maybe I can, if I talk about it, maybe I can identify what it is, because for years and years of working spiritually and psychologically, for me, trying to dig out from the root this sense of emotional dependence on other people, because we have that from our childhood, because human beings are weak and dependent when they're first born, and they have to depend on their parents and caregivers. And we're this belief that we're incomplete is, as I said, it's there genetically. We're born dependent and incomplete, but somehow a lot of us, most of us probably, we don't throw that off, and we don't grow up. And there's reasons for that. There's in traditional tribal societies, there are rites of passage that for both sexes that sort of provide a cutting off point for childhood and an entry into adulthood, and most of us miss that, and so we carry this sense of emotional dependence with us into adulthood, and a lot of people, I think, go to their graves and they never overcome that, and it puts people in a weak position, because if you're trying to please other people, or you're feeling afraid to express your opinions or your convictions, as the poem says, it's a moral and ethical weakness. It really, because you're liable to just go along with the crowd, no matter what they're doing, or no matter whether what they're doing is ethical or not. And I think a lot of things happen through that kind of mechanism, where people just go along with the crowd, and they lose all their moral and ethical convictions. And so it's very necessary to work on oneself and try to get to a point where we're not dependent on the opinions of others. We're not dependent on others for emotional support, and also, very importantly, we're not dependent on the feedback of other people to tell us who we are. Ordinarily, we are dependent on other people's feedback to tell us who we are, because in the ordinary human condition, there's no higher authority. There's nothing behind the frontal cortex that is a higher level of the brain or the mind that can that can give us an independent sense of who we are. But that's what spirituality is about developing a transcendent awareness that's not dependent on the conditioning of our psyches and of our minds. And somehow I think that, over all the years of working on myself, that I've finally got to the point where I'm just not afraid or concerned about other people's opinions anymore. Um, Someone tried to shame me on that thread on Facebook that I was talking about, and it just went one in one ear and out the other. I mean, I don't even have to think about things like that when other people um, blame me for their feelings and say, "Oh, you're shaming us." Well, no, I'm not shaming anybody. It's not my intention. And if someone felt shamed by what I said, it's their responsibility. It's not my responsibility, no matter what the extreme political left may be saying now, that we have to um, censor our speech, uh, lest someone should be offended by something that we say. That's hogwash as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not going to hesitate to say so. And because other people are just responsible for their own feelings, and if they're, and I'm responsible for what I say. If someone's really trying with a bad intention to hurt other people, yeah, they're responsible for that. But if I take it on and am hurt by it, that's my responsibility. I'm responsible for my reactions. The other person's responsible for their actions, and blaming is not part of the equation as far as I'm concerned. So I guess that's enough for today. There'll be more videos in the future, but let me know what you thought about this one.